You know that feeling? Maybe you're a musician, about to play a solo, and suddenly your hands start to tremble. Or maybe you're a surgeon, and you need rock-steady hands, but you feel your heart start to pound. It's that moment where your brain is all in, but your body just decides to, well, freak out. For people in high-stakes professions, that physical betrayal can be a huge deal. But what if? What if you could just quiet down that physical chaos? Today, we are diving into a really fascinating and kind of surprising solution that does exactly that. So let's get into this wild connection between our heart and our nerves.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You're prepped, you know your stuff inside and out, but your body just hits the panic button with a stress response that you just can't ignore. But what if you could just turn down the volume on that physical reaction, even just for a little while? Okay, so to understand the solution, we first have to get a handle on the problem. And the problem really starts with our body's own built-in alarm system, which, by the way, is super ancient.
Yeah, this list probably looks pretty familiar to a lot of you. It's the classic fight-or-flight response, right in action. And the crazy thing is, this old-school survival circuit in our brain, it can't tell the difference between a real, life-threatening danger and a modern-day stressor. To your nervous system, a tiger hiding in the bushes and, say, a panel of interviewers staring at you can trigger the exact same red alert.
And this stuff right here, this is the culprit. Epinephrine, you probably know it as adrenaline, is the chemical messenger that screams at your heart to pump faster and your muscles to get all tense. It is literally the fuel for that physical anxiety we were just talking about.
So how do you calm this physical storm? Well, the answer comes from a place you might not expect at all: the world of heart medicine.
Yep, you heard that right. The medication we're talking about, beta blockers, were originally made and are still mostly used to treat heart conditions like high blood pressure. But along the way, doctors noticed they had a very, very useful side effect.
And this is a really important point. Using beta blockers for anxiety is what's called off-label use. Now, this is a completely legal and pretty common thing for doctors to do, but it just means the FDA hasn't officially given its stamp of approval for this specific purpose. It's prescribed based on a doctor's professional experience and judgment.
So how in the world does a heart medication stop your hands from shaking before a big speech? The way it works is actually pretty brilliant. It's all about intercepting that adrenaline rush before it can get a grip on your body. Think of it like you're running interference on your own nervous system.
This breaks it down perfectly. When you get anxious, adrenaline floods your system, and it's looking for places to plug into. These are called beta receptors. What beta blockers do is they basically act like noise-canceling headphones for your heart and muscles. They physically block those receptors, those docking stations. So even though the adrenaline is still floating around, its message to panic, well, it just doesn't get delivered. The signal to make your heart pound and your hand shake never actually gets through.
But of course, like pretty much any medication, it's not a magic bullet. There's always a trade-off, and it's so important to understand both the good and the potentially bad.
Okay, so here's why they've become such a secret weapon for so many people. First, they work fast. We're talking often within an hour, which makes them perfect for those predictable, high-stress events like a big presentation or a performance. They also surgically target just the physical symptoms. You know, the shaky voice, the trembling hands, the pounding chest, that can totally throw you off your game. And for folks who have a tough time with other anxiety meds, they offer a completely different way to feel in control.
This comparison really shows you where they fit in. Unlike benzodiazepines, think things like Xanax or Valium, which can come with a pretty high risk of dependence, beta blockers are not considered addictive. And that's all because of how they work. See, they're not trying to calm your mind directly. They're calming your body's reaction to what your mind is worried about. It's a huge difference.
But there's always a but, right? There are trade-offs. Because these drugs are designed to work on your heart and circulatory system, the side effects are kind of what you'd expect. They can lower your blood pressure or slow down your heart rate maybe a little too much, which can make you feel dizzy or tired.
And let's be absolutely crystal clear on this. This is a non-negotiable point. Taking a friend's prescription or trying to buy these online, you are playing with fire. Self-medicating with a drug that directly messes with your heart rate and your blood pressure without a doctor watching over you is an incredibly dangerous gamble.
And that's because for some people, they're not just a bad idea. They are completely unsafe. Anyone with conditions like asthma or specific heart issues has to avoid them. This is exactly why you have to have a conversation and share your full medical history with a doctor. It's absolutely essential.
So, as we start to wrap this up, it's really important we put beta blockers in the right context. Think of them as a very specific tool for a very specific job.
So the crucial point, the one thing you should take away from this is this. Beta blockers are a fantastic tool for managing the stage fright, but not the anxiety itself. They won't stop you from feeling worried, but they can stop your body from shouting that worry through a megaphone. They silence the physical alarm bells, but they don't do anything to investigate what's causing the fire in the first place.
So, if any of this sounds like a tool that might be right for you, the only responsible next step is to talk to a professional. And this list right here, this is a great starting point for that conversation. These are the key questions you should be asking to make a truly informed decision about your own health.
And that's really the powerful idea we'll leave you with. For so many people, the physical feelings of anxiety just create this vicious cycle. Your heart races, which makes your mind race even faster, and on it goes. So the question becomes, by calming the body first, could you actually give your mind the space it needs to catch its breath and regain control? It's a fascinating thought.